Good morning, everyone. It's Joker, and today we are back with another slime video. And earlier this morning, we got the skill preview for Rain. Unfortunately for us, the intern that made the mistake last time was fired, so now the previews for the JP and English versions are the same, so we don't get the full kit. So we just get the first skill. So let's take a look at it. It is a 25 cost skill and increases all allies' magic attack by 20%. Straight up. Anybody who is on the field will get a magic attack buff. Now, obviously, if they're physical, it's not really going to matter because they're not going to get it anyways, but it will be on them. And then for one turn, if activated within 3 turns from the start of battle, the effect goes up to 40%. And it lowers a single target's magic resistance by 20%. So it is a team-wide magic attack buff, which has the capability of being 40%, and then it lowers one enemy's magic resistance. So you could liken this to EX Rimaru's, physical buff being, much more costly for 80 points with 65% physical attack and 20% resistance down. This is 20% magic attack, 40% magic attack if you really want to do it, and then 20% resistance down, but only on one person, right? EX Rimuru goes on everybody. It's an AoE debuff. This is a single target debuff, which is kind of unfortunate, but I guess it does make a little bit more sense seeing as she is also single target. So she and Shuna will be, the single target DPSs of the team. I don't hate the skill. Right? Let's just get out of the way. I don't hate the skill because it is very generalized. You could use this on any Magic team whatsoever, and they can benefit. It's just that this second condition right here, within 3 turns, you get a doubled effect, 40%. 3 turns is not a long time, which with the current meta team, you can definitely kill things in 3 turns, no doubt about that. But after you go past 3 turns, it's like, and you've been cut in half essentially. And if you're fighting multiple people, you're only getting the resistance on one of them, so it's not nearly as effective as you would want it to be, unless you're ulting. But at the same time, with the specific meta with Mirren, you're sending your normal orbs generally against one person. Beatdown battle is only Grucius, even though this, we thought this is going to be kind of a half AoE, half single target meta, like it's always been for, EXs. So it does make sense. It's just I'm not in love with this condition, because if you've ever used Bride Shuna, or Bride Shion, and you thought, I don't have enough turns to do things, you're probably going to have the same issue with Rain, where you go 3 turns and you kind of forget that you have this extra 200% buff on it, 100% buff on it, and then it goes away and you're on turn 4 and you're like, oh, right, it's not nearly as good anymore. So she is generalized to a point. She is limited to a point. And honestly, I think this would have been a lot better if it had the same condition as, Sokka's thing, where it was stronger based on the number of units. Some people do like this, some people don't like this. I tend to prefer to like this more than having that turn restriction on it, because, sometimes fights don't go your way. And definitely if you don't have Mirren, 3 turns is not enough, right? If you're using, Protector Veldora, if you're using some other Protector, Shuna, you're using Frey, you're not getting that massive 60% damage buff, and you're not getting the follow-up attacks, so you're not going to kill in 3 turns. Which means guaranteed you are not always going to see the maximum effectiveness of this Rain, even on a full Magic team. Like, if we look at the team that I have built now for this meta, it's this. I've got a physical unit, and a physical unit, and then 3 magic units, one of which stays in the back, so she's not really going to be here. And I think that if I were to get Rain, I would have to replace Shizu with Rain, who, is giving a permanent attack buff, so no matter what turn you're on, that will be effective, right? It's still going to be 15 each time you use her. It's not like 15 for the first 3 turns and then 5 for the next, turns after that. And then if you don't have Mirren and you're using Protector Veldora, their effects will not stack. His is a 1-turn temporary buff. This is a 1-turn temporary buff. So it's like you're kind of doubling up. And well, okay, so hold on, where'd it go? This will be stronger, at the beginning of the fight when Veldora maybe isn't fully built up, which I guess could cover some damage. But as soon as you hit turn 3, as soon as you hit probably maybe turn 2 with this team, you've used enough skills to eclipse that 40% mark with Veldora. So then the only thing you're really benefiting from is that 20% resistance down. I don't know if that makes it worth it. If you want to pull Rain, you either have a deep understanding that you are preparing for the future and preparing for another burst magic team, or you have the full meta and you want it to run at, quote unquote optimum efficiency, because it should be able to run at 3-4 turns, because you can do a bulk of your damage in turn 2 and turn 3, and then turn 4 can be like your follow-up with your ult or something that you've been hiding with the hero. You can do a whole bunch of things, but we've got, hold on, let's take a look at these skills. So we have 100 skill points if we have Mirren. So we've got 25 here, we've got a couple 15s here, we've got 25 here, we got 25 here. So you could, in one turn, use all 4 of these skills. You can get the attack, the light attack and crit damage, the orb damage up and resistance down, and then you could also get that up to 40% magic damage. That is a lot of damage. That's a lot of normal orb damage in one turn that you could potentially use. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, that is very strong, very, very good. But if you don't have this full team, like if you're running maybe Bride Xion instead of Shizu, or instead of Ashuna, she's not going to benefit from this buff because she's physical, right? Who else is on Goddess of Destiny? Like, you have Sokka, okay, cool, she's an AoE character. Alright, you have Traya, she's an AoE character. The hero and Shizu, they're both physical. If we're gonna look at let's see, select forces, and we're gonna go Goddess of Destiny. We do have some magic characters here, right? We do have Space Xion, we do have Sufia, and then we have Shinsha and, well, just Shinsha actually. So if you're pulling Rain to be a generic support unit, I don't know if that is the best idea for you, especially for this specific meta, because most of the units are physical, most of the DPS units are physical. You would pretty much have to have Shuna for it to really even work a little bit, because this Xion is AoE, this Shinsha is single target, sure, and she is space, so she's not gonna, she'll get extra, especially if you have her level 100, which I don't know a lot of people that have the Shinsha at level 100, but then you can skill fuse her and you can get that extra 10% on her resistance down. But realistically, if we're just looking at magic units, so let's reset this, let's go magic, confirm. So that's physical. Why is this physical? No, I wanted physical. No, there we go. Okay, so magic units. We've got Raphael, EX Mirren, cool, Dark Milim, Space Milim, Water Hinata, Raphael, Water Shuna, Space Xion. There are a number of units here, but the last 3 metas have been decidedly physical. So we're missing a lot of potential magic damage dealers, which I think it's going to solve itself in the next couple months, because they did spend 3 months giving us physical. I would expect them to give us, at least 2 months straight of magic characters, so you could be planning for the future with this Rain and be like, okay, well, I can put her on the next team that's magic, and then we could buff them in, the first 3 turns or whatever. I wouldn't bank too much on that, because we don't know if the next meta is going to be a burst damage team. It's probably going to be a stacking team, because it's just going to go back and forth. So You know, after 3 turns, like, you want to nuke on, like, turn 8 with the Fount of Wisdom or the Warrior's Mind team. That is a long, far way away from turn 3, right? So bringing her for a 20% buff and a 20% resistance down when you could bring someone else who's going to give you a lot more power, I don't really know if it's the greatest idea. In a vacuum, she looks good. It's just that she has this restriction that I'm not a fan of. The second skill, being 15 points, means that it could either be a single orb change, like Shizu has, so she's got her 1 orange to 1 green, right? Cool, whatever. It could be like a blue to green, maybe, because we don't really have that on this team. We have the special convert, we have the 1. You know, if you're not running this team, it is whatever. You could have Isis and you can have the blues covered. It could be like Isis, though, where you have just another unit that will give us a green buff, and that would be really cool, because Isis' skill costs 15 points. I don't know if it'll be as strong. It could be stronger, technically, because she's a free-to-play unit. But, you know, Shizu does have that stacking attack buff for 15 points, so the game has changed so much where a 15-point skill could actually mean a number of things. But I don't know if it's going to be what we all want it to be. So, just based on this first skill alone and the cost of the second skill, I would caution players to maybe not summon for Rain. This is the final banner of the meta. It's only, June 12th, right? We have a lot of time before the meta kicks over to the next one, and it resets on the 29th, right here, 6/29. So we got a lot of time until that happens, so you could definitely wait. I don't know if I'm going to summon, actually. Like, I personally might skip, and I'll explain that in a video probably either later today or tomorrow. But I don't know if this kit alone is enough to be like, alright, we're going to spend my last 6,000 crystals. I'll probably buy the 10% rate ticket and see if I can just get lucky, which I never am, but, who knows. But honestly, I don't know about this one. I don't know. There are a lot of other support units that you could bring for a Magic team. I think that you could get away with without having this Rain, even in future content. But if you're dead set on this meta, and you like this meta, and you've summoned for it, then she's going to be a great pickup for you. A very powerful, cheap buffing character that will just enhance the amount of damage your normals do. Just understand that it may be outclassed very quickly in the future. So we'll see what her full kit is in about 8 hours or so, somewhere around there, and then we'll make that final determination once we see her kit. Her banner will look the same as, Sokka and the Mirror and Shunos, which all the Goddess of Destiny characters. So Shinsha, Xion, all these ones. So it won't look any different than this. So I can't wait if I do summon to pull more fucking light Xions. It's going to be great. Or you, because now you're both done, so now the game's like, you get more. But yeah, that's it for the initial video. If I were to grade her based on this as an incomplete unit, with that in mind, I'd probably give her a 7.5 out of 10. Not knowing what this skill is. If she's on her team, it's probably like more like an 8.5. Maybe an 8 to an 8.5 if she's on the Goddess of Destiny team. If you take her off the Goddess of Destiny team, I think she's more like a 6.5. So averaging out, it makes sense. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of Rain initially. I'm not overly impressed, but I'm not super disappointed with her. I'm just kind of like in the middle, kind of like a meh. But let me know your thoughts. But that's it from me. Take it easy, guys, and I'll see you all later.